After surviving a box jellyfish attack, Dr. Yanagihara recovers at home. The process is slow and painful.
After 3 days of brutal agony and a week total, there was no sustained relief.
The deep sea, Earth's final frontier, an abyss so vast and uncharted, it's said that we know more about the surface of Mars than the dark depths beneath our own oceans. But this is not just a place of silence and shadows. It's a realm where nightmares come to life, where creatures more terrifying than anything imagined in the darkest corners of our minds lie in wait. Their forms alien, their jaws savage, their eyes glowing with a hunger that can never be satisfied. This is a world where every inch could be hiding a predator far more terrifying than anything we've ever encountered on land. And yet, no one can hear you scream. What could possibly be the most terrifying creature to ever rise from this eternal darkness? The box jellyfish. Welcome back to the Cryptid Report. Concealed under the tranquil, sun-kissed waters of the Indo-Pacific, a silent executioner drifts, nearly invisible yet deadly beyond imagination. It has no teeth, no claws, and no growl to warn of its presence, just ghostly tentacles laced with lethal intent. This is the box jellyfish, a creature so deceptively delicate yet capable of delivering death in a matter of minutes. Its translucent body, no bigger than a basketball, conceals a network of nightmare-fueled weaponry, tentacles stretching up to 10 feet long, covered in billions of microscopic harpoons. These venom-packed darts, known as nematocysts, fire on contact, injecting a poison so potent it doesn't just burn. It attacks the heart, the nervous system, and skin cells all at once. Victims don't always have time to scream. The pain is so excruciating that many succumb to shock, paralysis, or even cardiac arrest before reaching the shore. The worst part? Unlike most jellyfish that drift passively with the currents, box jellyfish are hunters. They see, they swim, they chase. With clusters of surprisingly sophisticated eyes, complete with retinas, lenses, and corn EUs, these marine phantoms detect movement and navigate with chilling precision. At speeds approaching 4 knots, they move with purpose, making them almost impossible to avoid. In the warm coastal waters of Australia, the Philippines, and Thailand, box jellyfish claim lives every year. At least 40 recorded fatalities annually, though experts believe the true number to be much higher. The deadliest among them, Chironex fleckeri, has tentacles as thick as bootlaces, and a venom considered the most toxic of any marine creature. Few survive an encounter with this floating executioner, but Dr. Angel Yanagihara did. She had spent years researching these creatures, yet nothing could prepare her for the agony that followed a single sting.
My skin became, terribly inflamed all along these different tracks around my neck was like rope burns. I tried the topical steroids and some other things and nothing worked. Nothing worked. I felt really curious.
The footage is hard to watch. Her arm twisted and swollen, web-like scars forming beneath her skin, her veins turning dark, spreading like an unholy map of suffering. For 3 days, she endured pure agony, and even after a week of torment, the pain refused to release its grip. The giant squid. If you think the box jellyfish is the most terrifying creature ever recorded on camera, you might want to reconsider. While the jellyfish kills with its venom, there is another colossal nightmare creeping in the abyss. A creature so enormous, so alien in appearance that it has fueled maritime legends for centuries. It does not drift aimlessly like a jellyfish. It hunts. It fights. It survives battles with whales and leaves behind scars as proof of its existence. This is the giant squid, a deep-sea behemoth wrapped in mystery and horror. It moves unseen, hiding in the depths thousands of feet below the surface, where only the boldest creatures dare to venture. With tentacles stretching over 40 feet long and lined with razor-sharp suckers, it is a predator of nightmarish proportions. This is Architeuthis, the giant squid, a creature so elusive that for centuries it existed only in sailors' fevered whispers and cryptic scars found on the bodies of whales. But then, in a remote stretch of ocean 600 miles southeast of Tokyo, one finally revealed itself. Tsunemi Kubodera, a marine researcher, had spent a decade chasing shadows in the depths, guided only by the movements of sperm whales, the only known predators of this deep-sea titan. Then, one day, his team pulled something from the abyss, a severed, thrashing tentacle nearly 20 feet long, and it suctioned onto his hand. For centuries, stories of giant squids terrorized sailors. Ancient Greek myths spoke of sea serpents capable of pulling entire ships beneath the waves. Norse legends told of the Kraken, a tentacled monstrosity so enormous that it was often mistaken for an island, until it moved. Jules Verne's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea immortalized it in literature, its coiling arms dragging submarines into the abyss. But until Kubodera's groundbreaking footage, these stories were little more than folklore and fragmented evidence. Scarred whales, dead squids washing ashore, tangled in forgotten fishing nets. Now, there is no denying it. The giant squid exists, and it is far more terrifying than we imagined. Yet if something this massive remained hidden for so long, what else could be lurking just beyond the reach of our cameras, waiting to be discovered? The goblin shark. Now, if you thought the giant squid was a nightmare, prepare yourself for something that looks like it crawled straight out of a horror movie. It is ghostly pale, with flabby, sagging flesh that makes it look almost lifeless. But do not be fooled. The goblin shark is a predator unlike any other, equipped with a jaw that defies nature itself. At depths of over 4,000 feet, far beyond where sunlight dares to reach, this bizarre creature has remained hidden for millions of years, unchanged, untouched, and evolved for ambush hunting in complete darkness. Its most disturbing feature? A jaw that shoots forward like a spring-loaded trap, launching out from its skull to seize its unsuspecting prey. The razor-sharp, needle-like teeth ensure that nothing escapes once caught. It is a mechanism so terrifying that if humans had to face it, survival would be near impossible.
4,000 feet below, the goblin shark.
The goblin shark is really one of the most freaky deep-sea sharks there is. I mean, it looks like a goblin, it looks like a monster. That's how it got its name. It has the ability to distend its jaw way out in front of its body and then snap it back to catch food.
Its translucent pinkish skin, stretched over its body like an unfinished sculpture, makes it look more like a deep-sea phantom than a living creature. The eerie glow comes from blood vessels visible beneath its skin, making it seem almost unnatural, like something that should not exist, but does. It has a shovel-shaped snout, heavily poured with sensors that detect even the faintest electrical pulses, allowing it to hunt in total darkness. Unseen, unheard, until it strikes. First discovered in 1898, this living fossil is rarely seen, but every time it appears, it leaves researchers and fishermen unsettled. It is a deep-sea relic, an ancient predator that has barely changed since the time of the dinosaurs. Though no recorded attacks on humans exist, those who have pulled it up in deep-sea nets have marveled at its horrifying appearance and its almost otherworldly bite force that could easily tear through flesh. Yet, despite its monstrous look, the goblin shark is not the most terrifying creature drifting in the depths. Some creatures hide in plain sight, waiting, motionless, before striking in a way that leaves their victims completely helpless. The fang-toothed fish proves that sometimes the deadliest monsters are the ones you never see coming. The fang-toothed fish. The fang-toothed fish is small, barely reaching 7 inches in length, yet its fangs are so massive they do not even fit inside its mouth. When its jaws clamp shut, its dagger-like teeth actually slide into specially adapted pockets inside its skull, the only way to keep them from piercing its own brain. It is the deep sea's answer to a medieval torture device, equipped with one of the most fearsome bite forces relative to its size. Unlike other deep-sea hunters that drift and wait, the fangtooth is always on the prowl. Its pitch-black body absorbs what little light dares to reach depths of nearly 16,000 feet, where it roams in absolute darkness, searching for anything unfortunate enough to swim too close. Its eyesight is weak, but that hardly matters. It relies on an exceptionally developed lateral line system, a network of sensors that allow it to detect even the slightest vibrations in the water. In the deep, where food is scarce, it does not hesitate. It strikes first and asks questions later. Though researchers have rarely encountered the fangtooth alive, evidence of its ferocity is undeniable. Unlike many deep-sea creatures that drift aimlessly, this fish is active, aggressive, and constantly searching for its next meal. It is a hunter in the abyss, built for survival in an environment that crushes and devours anything too weak to endure. Yet, for all its terrifying attributes, the fangtooth remains a phantom of the deep, glimpsed only in fleeting moments by submersibles and deep-sea explorers. And that raises an unsettling thought. If a creature this monstrous remains hidden for so long, what else could be hiding in the uncharted depths? The frilled shark. Some creatures evolve over time, adapting to new environments. Others are so perfectly built for survival that they remain unchanged for millions of years. The frilled shark is one such relic, a prehistoric predator that has lurked in the depths for over 80 million years, unchanged, untouched, a ghost from another time.
It's a frilled shark.
Already dead, unfortunately.
Even deceased, this alien specimen can yield valuable clues about how this shark has evolved and survived for 100 million years.
Its serpentine body, stretching over 6 feet long, moves with an eerie, snake-like motion, weaving through the darkness with a slow, deliberate grace. It does not chase its prey. It waits. And when the time comes, it strikes with terrifying precision, its jaws snapping forward like a mousetrap, lined with 300 backwards-facing teeth that hook into flesh and refuse to let go. Once something is caught, there is no escape. Unlike most sharks, whose mouths are set behind their snouts, the frilled shark's gaping maw sits right at the front of its head, giving it an almost alien appearance. Its gills, unlike anything else in the shark family, stretch across its throat in ruffled, frilly structures, earning it its name. Yet, there is nothing delicate about this creature. It is a nightmare from the past, a living fossil that has survived extinction events that wiped out creatures far larger and stronger. Spotted in the depths of the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans, from Japan to Australia to California, the frilled shark has inspired countless legends of sea serpents. Its long, eel-like body and deep-sea habitat mean that when fishermen accidentally pull one to the surface, the sight is so unnatural that it is often mistaken for something out of myth. Though no direct attacks on humans have ever been recorded, the frilled shark is far from harmless. It is aggressive when provoked, and its needle-like teeth ensure that whatever it bites is left with a wound that will not heal easily. It is proof that the most terrifying monsters are not always the ones with size and speed, but those that have outlived the very concept of fear itself. The tongue-eating louse. The ocean is full of creatures that bite, sting, and hunt. But some horrors do not rely on brute force. Some do not kill their victims outright. Instead, they take something far worse: control. Under the waves, hidden in the depths of the Atlantic, Pacific, and Indian Oceans, there is the grossest parasite ever found. It does not just invade its host, it replaces a part of it. Meet the tongue-eating louse, a tiny, nightmarish creature that turns survival into something far more disturbing. It begins as something small, harmless, just another speck drifting through the water. A fish swims by, unaware of the fate waiting inside its own mouth. The louse clings to the fish's tongue and starts feeding, not on the fish itself, but on the very muscle it uses to eat. Slowly, silently, the tongue withers, shrivels, and dies. And then, in a grotesque twist of nature, the louse takes its place. Hooked to the inside of the fish's mouth, the parasite does not kill its host. It becomes part of it. The fish continues to live, to eat, to swim, but it is no longer in control. With each bite, the louse feeds first, stealing food before the fish can swallow. For the rest of its life, the fish carries its parasite like a puppet bound to an unseen master. For humans, this creature poses no threat. It does not bite. It does not sting. But imagine catching a fish, pulling it from the water and watching its tongue shift, watching it move, wriggle, blink with tiny black eyes. Fishermen have opened their catch to find these parasites staring back, nestled in the mouths of creatures that never realized they had been overtaken. Stingray, that killed Steve Irwin. The ocean's deadliest threats do not always come with rows of razor-sharp teeth or monstrous tentacles. Sometimes they move like ghosts beneath the waves, silent, undisturbed, waiting. The stingray is one such creature. It does not hunt. It does not chase. Yet, when it strikes, it leaves behind a story of tragedy and pain. Lying motionless on the ocean floor, the stingray vanishes into the sands. Its diamond-shaped body blends seamlessly with the seabed, its flattened form barely distinguishable from its surroundings. It is a creature of patience, moving only with the sway of the tide, its whip-like tail trailing behind like the shadow of something forgotten. To the untrained eye, it is harmless, a docile wanderer of the deep. But hidden beneath its sleek form is a weapon as sharp as a dagger, as deadly as a curse. Most who cross paths with a stingray never realize it. Swimmers glide above them, divers float nearby, and for the most part, these creatures remain unbothered, indifferent. But the moment they feel threatened, everything changes. On a fateful day in September 2006, Australian wildlife expert Steve Irwin swam too close. In the shallows of the Great Barrier Reef, beneath the sunlit waves, he and his team were filming. It was supposed to be just another day in the water, another glimpse into the world few dared to explore. But the stingray, startled by his presence, reacted in an instant. Its tail lashed out, striking with surgical precision, and in that single moment, a legend fell. The barb, a venom-coated spike edged like a serrated blade, pierced his chest, ripping into his heart. Even after death, the stingray's venom remains potent, a cruel design of nature, ensuring that even a final breath is met with pain. He is one of the few humans ever killed by a stingray, and his passing remains a chilling reminder. Sometimes the deadliest creatures are the ones we least expect. But while some creatures bury themselves beneath the sand, striking only when threatened, others turn the ocean floor into a trap, lying in wait, motionless, watching, until their prey drifts just a little too close. And when they strike, it is not with teeth or venom alone, but with something far more sinister, a jolt of electricity. The stargazer fish. Hiding in the sands of the Atlantic Ocean, a creature lies still, its body buried, its presence undetectable. Nothing about its form signals danger. There are no flashing colors, no menacing fangs, no thrashing tentacles, just sand, still, silent, deceptive. And then, light glints off something unnatural. A pair of bulging eyes stared unblinking from beneath the grains, a mouth twisted in a perpetual frown, a grotesque mask of patience and hunger. This is the stargazer fish, and it is waiting for something to make a mistake. Unlike most predators, the stargazer does not chase its prey. It does not need to. With wide, flat pectoral fins, it burrows into the seabed, sinking down until only its upturned telescope-like eyes remain exposed. It does not move. It does not breathe in a way that stirs the sand. It becomes part of the ocean floor, a natural illusion so perfect that even the most cautious fish will swim too close. And when they do, the stillness shatters. The mouth, once hidden, snaps open in a flash of movement, inhaling its prey with a force so strong that escape is impossible. The victim is swallowed whole before it even realizes the sand beneath it is alive.
This creepy, flat-headed deep-sea dweller is the stargazer fish, and it is one of the most deadly and dangerous hunters on the ocean floor.
But the stargazer is not just an ambush hunter. It is armed with electricity, capable of delivering a shock powerful enough to stun fish and injure unsuspecting fishermen who dare to handle it. Some species go even further, equipped with venomous spines capable of injecting toxins into anything that threatens them. It is a trap wrapped in deception, a predator masked by patience. The legend of mermaids. The sea has always held its secrets, stories whispered by sailors and passed down through generations. Some speak of storms that appear without warning. Others tell of shadows beneath the surface, following ships for miles, watching. But among these tales, none are as haunting, as irresistible as the legend of the mermaid. It is easy to dismiss such stories as myths, creations of lonely minds, of men lost at sea for too long. But what happens when there is proof? A photograph, a witness, a moment frozen in time. In the summer of 1967, a passenger aboard a ferry near Main Island raised their camera, capturing something that should not exist. A woman, if she could be called that, lounged on the rocks, her long silver blonde hair clinging to her shoulders, her lower half shimmering, fish-like, unnatural. She held a half-eaten salmon in her hands, the raw flesh torn away by something that was neither human nor beast, but something in between. The photo made headlines. A local newspaper ran the story, and a $25,000 reward was offered for proof of her existence. Yet, like all things too strange to be real, the truth was eventually revealed. A hoax, a carefully crafted lie designed to capture attention. And just like that, the mermaid of Main Island faded into history. But stories like these refused to die. In Greece, they were sirens whose songs led sailors to their deaths. In Scandinavia, they were the Hafru, luring men into the freezing waters with whispers of love, only to pull them under. And in Japan, the Ningyo were said to be creatures of prophecy, some blessing those who found them, others cursing them to fates worse than death. Some were hideous, with the faces of monkeys and the twisted, scaled bodies of fish. Others bore razor-sharp fangs, more beast than woman. Yet the most disturbing tales did not end in drowning or madness. They spoke of something stranger, a creature that did not just lure its victims, but took their very form, slipping into their skin, walking among them unnoticed. And if these legends are true, then perhaps the ocean's greatest terror is not something hidden beneath the waves. Just like the mermaids, some legends refuse to die, whispered by sailors, feared by those who dare to cross the open sea. But while mermaids are said to lure men to their doom, this next creature does not need to sing or deceive. It rises from the depths, towering over ships like a shadow made of water, a being that should not exist. Yet countless sailors swear it does. This is the Umibozu. The Umibozu. To the unknowing sailor, the ocean at night is a thing of beauty. The surface is calm and endless. The sky is a reflection of the deep. But those who have sailed long enough know better. They know that sometimes, without warning, the sea turns against them. The winds howl, the waves rise, and the ship begins to tremble. They know this is not the work of nature. This is something else. A shadow rises from beneath. Impossible. Enormous. a humanoid shape, yet featureless, its skin as slick and black as ink spilt across the waves. Its head is bulbous and smooth, with empty, searching eyes that seem to pierce through the souls of those who dare to look. And then, in a voice that seems to shake the very bones of the ship, it asks the question, "Am I fearsome?" Sailors who have heard the tales know there is only one way to survive. Speak carefully, show fear, show humility, and the creature will vanish. Say the wrong thing, hesitate for too long, and the umibozu will decide your fate for you. Some claim the umibozu are spirits of priests, betrayed and cast into the sea, now returning to drag the living into the abyss. Others tell of a more twisted hunger, stories of women lured into the water by beings that wore the faces of men, only to be pulled under, never seen again. There are those who say the umibozu can walk among us, taking form as sightless men, their presence an omen of death. Legends fade, details shift, but the fear remains. Even now, centuries after the first accounts, there are sailors who refuse to set sail at the end of the month when the umibozu is said to rise. There are those who believe some shipwrecks are not accidents, that beneath the waves, something far older, far stronger, far more relentless than any storm still watches. Perhaps the stories are only that, stories. Or perhaps, somewhere in the vast, endless deep, something waits. Something that does not need to be seen to be real but terrifying. The ocean keeps its secrets well. With over 80% of the ocean still unexplored, how many more nightmares in the darkness are waiting to be discovered? Are there creatures beyond our wildest fears, hidden in the abyss, just out of reach? Let us know in the comments which deep-sea creature terrifies you the most.